Right. Uh, like I start talking, it says like live and it counts like 1, 2, 3. But if I start talking at the beginning, it doesn't record it. It only ever starts from like 5 seconds in or some bullshit because, modern technology can never actually what it claims to do. These companies fucking hate us, but people still like worship them. So anyway, I'm just to talk about ancient cosmology and Baba Yaga. Wow. Okay, so it just said it like cut off the connection and then reconnect. I don't know. Guess I'll start from here. Baba, witch of Slavic folklore, the terrifying grandmother. Um, so yeah, um, Yaga. The only reason I bought this piece of shit smartphone let me use my webcam and and also to use in Egypt because they don't let you use in the museums. You can only use cell phones to take pictures. So for those two reasons, I had to get a fucking smartphone. But this piece of shit does not work. Here is such shit, and or the feds fucking with me. So yeah, this video might not work at all, but if so, it's gonna be my last one because I don't have any way to. All right, but she's linked to the other world. Uh, she has a bony leg, long nose. Blah, blah. She owns enchanted objects, combs that transform into forests, handkerchiefs that become rivers, a flying carpet, and even fire-breathing horses. So this is all like geography, like mirrors that are lakes, combs that are forests, handkerchiefs. Hey, Bill Watterson. Hey, Flower Fandom. All right, well, so, but she's shown with this long nose, she said between worlds. Is Iceland, which is between, it's between hemispheres. It's like the between the western and eastern hemisphere, basically between and so she like has a long chin, a long nose, a little mouth there, a little eye there, and then she has a weird foot, like a chicken leg or something, and all weird other stuff on her house or whatever this is. I think this is her, Baba Yaga, and this is probably also Circe of Greek. And yeah, there's a story people into animals that might relate to this Circe story where she turns Odysseus, which also probably relates to Jesus, like demons, pigs, and which is all just cosmology and might relate to Earth. Um, yeah. Let's see. Pavia's legacy. Um, say the type of story. So like this one, like perhaps the most beloved tale is Vasilia the Beautiful, or Vasilisa the Beautiful, or a girl named Valissa, whatever, given a magical doll by her mother, finds herself sent to Baba Yaga's hut by her wicked stepmother. After several trials set by Baba Yaga, Vasilisa succeeds with the help of her doll. In return, Baba Yaga gives her a flaming skull that ultimately burns the evil stepmother and stepsisters to cinders. So that's like Cinderella. And uh, all right, I hope I posted like the other things about it. But basically, there's, it's openly acknowledged that that's the Russian Cinderella. Baba Yaga is like the fairy godmother or some kind of thing in there. So anyway, yeah, I guess I didn't post the other quotes about that, which is annoying because I meant to fucking post that. But that at least gives some of the story and shows that it does relate to Cinderella. So yeah, I think the Cinderella story relates to like the Baltic Sea, I guess, or the Caspian Sea. So this is like Cinderella slipper. This is Cinderella's, or this is either Cinderella or one of her evil stepsisters. Actually, this is probably the evil stepsister. This is her head, this is her neck, this is her boob, this is her torso, her dress, her leg, her foot, and her slipper. And then here is a face, a bigger face, like a hair, forehead, nose, mouth, chin. So this is either Baba Yaga or the stepmother or the prince or somebody. I'm guessing it's the stepmother, and that she's her mother because she's like attached to her and she's larger than her, and they're kind of part of each other. And then oh yeah, and then she's like cutting off the toe with like a knife here, because at least in the Grimm story, they have to cut the step sister's toe to fit into the slipper. And in the early versions, there's also an eagle that features prominently, like a magical eagle. So I think that's this peninsula of the Caucasus there. And so these are probably like the mice and also human faces that could turn into mice. Like these are kind of like two faces with long Neanderthaloid noses. And then this is kind of like a round little face with a button nose or something. And then this is like a tail. But these noses could also be the noses of mice. And like this could be a nose of a mouse. That's the tail. Here's the nose. So yeah, I think these are the mice. And then, yeah, they can also be humanoid. That's why it's like people that become mice that become people at the witching hour. This is that mouse has like a little eye there, a little nose, a little tail. And this could also be an iteration of Baba Yaga's nose, because if she has such a long nose like on Iceland, then it could be it. This could be her chin again. And you can see how like these landscapes are so manipulated by man, probably in antiquity. Like this is clearly a canal, but it's probably an ancient canal. You know, here's another shape just nearby that could also be Baba Yaga with the long nose and chin. And again, it's an obvious canal that's probably quite ancient that connects these waterways to the sea. And here as well, like in this face of the, I'm thinking this is the stepmother. Like this is probably an ancient canal. Like I've Googled these, they're just called rivers. There's no record of them being created, but they're obviously natural rivers. Like this is not the shape of a natural river. These are not the shapes of natural rivers. This is the mouth of the face, you know, a man-made canal. And this is the eye of the face that's clearly delineated by man-made canals. You know, rivers do not have shape unless they're man-made. So yeah, like a lot of what we think of as the natural world was actually created by humans, like, you know, 5,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, etc. Oh yeah, so this is part of the Japanese hellscape for the lagoon. What is it? Krusenstern Lagoon in Alaska. So let's see. Oh, this crab is too far apart to scroll, so I'll just try to find something for that. So yeah, like here. Well, kind of. So this is, you know, showing how Britain and Ireland become the two shores of Krusenstern Lagoon in Alaska. It's the same like characters who might have been real people. Like this might have been some, you know, shogun or something that this was made for as a Book of the Dead. Because basically, like these Buddhist scriptures are books of the dead. They're the same as the Egyptian books of the dead, and a lot of chapters are basically the same concept. But so yeah, she, like her face is like this part here, and there's like a long nose, but then there's also an island right under the nose, which is depicted. Oh yeah, it's shown here. So this is her face. And then the island that's actually right under her nose, they showed next to her head. So that's this thing. But I think it might be like I flipped it retrograde because it looked kind of retrograde, the shape of like the tip of it here. But I'm now thinking it might be prograde. It might be the other way, that like maybe this thing is this side, something. They don't really show the top, this stuff on the top too much. They kind of show a little doohickey there, but not much. Then let's see. So yeah, that's Sonic Island, Alaska. Oh crap. I messed that up. That's inaccurate. This is actually a 12th century Japanese Buddhist map. Gotta fix that. I'm so used to deciphering the 19th century ones that I forget some of these are from the 12th century. So yeah, that's like her titty, her arm, and her face, her hair, and she's pretty funky, pretty weird, spooky. This is in Krusenstern Lagoons, so I'm trying to show more of this tree that these legs are straddling. So the legs are like this, and then this part, and then this branch here is like this part, and then the trunk is like this part. And then there's like these branches here, so it's probably this branch is like this branch is probably this, and then this branch is probably this, and then this branch is this. And this might be part of it. That's like the coast. This is the Chukchi Sea, between Siberia and Alaska. Like the Chukchi people are on both sides. They've been going back and forth for thousands of years. So everybody to pretend that there hasn't been contact between America and Afro-Eurasia just has to basically erase the Chukchi people from history. But since the whole sea there is named after them, it's pretty hard to do. And then this arm here, I think that's like this thing right here, this little weird peninsula thing. But it's like retrograde, I think. Well, is it? I don't know. Maybe not. Okay, I don't know. I think I showed these last time though. It's just talking about how the native prophecies and how the world is like a circle, that someday, Crazy Horse said someday we'll gather under the sacred tree of life, water sill, whatever you want to call it. Like in every tradition, the cosmos is symbolized as a tree, and the whole earth will become one circle again. So he's saying that actually, contrary to what we're told, the world was interconnected before Columbus, and Columbus ended that. The Great Spotted Owl Feather, and the Obon Festival, San Jose, the Buddhist Temple, San Jose. So for 1,000 years, it worshipped the hero of the Odyssey. So yeah, the Odyssey is also a book of the dead for Odysseus. And it's probably like, it's like, Alice in Wonderland or Peter Pan or Narnia, where like the real story is that they're dead. And so they go to this magic land, but it's just because they're dead. So they went to they went on the great adventure. And then it just, mapped out the cosmos for Greek people. And using symbolic cosmology, like the mermaids, that Odysseus, is tied to this thing so he doesn't, get tempted by the mermaids. It's our actual islands, between Corsica and the Italian mainland. So Los Sirenes. So yeah, it was like the Odyssey is a religious book. It was that it's found inside mummies in Egypt. It's just like the Book of the Dead or any religious book. Gilgamesh, also religious. As just showing like Scythians. These are two constructions of the ancient Scythian hats. And then these are these are Mi'kmaq people in, I think, basically all in Nova Scotia or Newfoundland. No, I think they're Nova Scotia. So yeah, they were probably basically the same people or very closely connected in antiquity. Because certainly the Scythians were associated with the underworld. Even the name Tartarus for the underworld was kind of a reference to them, and Tartaria as their zone of like Russia and that area, but also basically Scandinavia. That was all kind of associated together, like the northern lands were associated with the underworld and with the sea. And they also had like elongated heads, because we all have Neanderthal DNA, which means that at a certain time in life, there's, a lot of us or some of us have a disease where it impacts our brain, and basically our brain doesn't function as well once we reach, 20, 30 or something. So when they elongated their heads, they were able to bypass this problem, I think, where the back of the head like impacts on the brain. It's based on like, the fact that Neanderthal and sapiens were very, very distinct species. So when they interbred, like us, the hybrids, were kind of barely able to survive because our DNA is so like, disparate from itself. It's so we have such distinct lineages that they're compatible enough that we're alive, but they're not any more compatible than that, basically. This painting is by Heather Watson, and shows a rock hole. So this Aboriginal Australian maps. Murray Bore is a rock hole that has water year-round, found just off the Chunchunchar Road in Western Australia, close to Urunchu. This was the home of many old people. The Young, Brown, Roberts, and Woods families all live here. Jigoku wa Ichijo. So there's a saying in Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, Japanese Buddhism, True Pure Land Buddhism, Jigoku wa Ichijo, hell is inevitable. And it's probably a kind of a riddle, because they like to do alliterations and like words that kind of sound like other words as hints. So in this case, Jigoku wa Ichijo, meaning hell is inevitable, is a profound and famously debated statement from the Tanisho, Lamenting of Heresies, a core sacred text of Jodo Shinshu True Pure Land Buddhism, compiled by Shinran's disciple Yuan. The phrase carries a few powerful layers of meaning. The original context: Shinran, the founder of the sect, stated this to emphasize that all human beings are fundamentally flawed. Because we are bound by karma and deeply afflicted by blind passions and attachments, we are naturally incapable of achieving salvation through our own efforts. By acknowledging that our natural destination is hell, we open ourselves up to true humility. I mean, it's kind of like, I think it has a lot of layers. I mean, one layer of it is that, because in the text, it makes it clear if you're not stupid, like everybody is on purpose. Like if you just read the words and use your brain, you can see that it clearly says everybody goes to hell because it says you go there for killing, and it specifies that includes killing animals, killing plants, cutting down trees. So if you never consumed a plant or animal product, then I guess you're good. But you might also not be alive. Just got to eat like mana, like the morning dew or something. Okay, the other power, Tariki, is precisely because we are doomed to hell that the vow of Amida Buddha is so radical. This philosophy suggests that salvation doesn't come from personal perfection, but entirely through the boundless, unconditional compassion and grace of Amida Buddha's saving power. Psychological reality. Many modern Buddhist teachers, such as author Hiroyuki Itsuki, interpret inevitable not as a place to go after we die, but as the unavoidable, painful reality of living with our own desires and regrets right now. I think it means jigoku. It's like they mix up words so easily in the AI. Would you like to explore how this hell is inevitable tricycle? What the fuck? Shijo. The one vessel concept is a core element of the shows. Oh god. So then I was asking them about it because like first I asked what is Jigoku wa Ichijo, and it gave me a completely different answer from this. It said it means Jigoku is the one vehicle, and the one vehicle is like the part of their religion. That's like basically how to get to heaven is the one vehicle. So that means, or how to get to paradise, like, or paradise itself is the vehicle. So if hell is the one vehicle, that means hell is paradise, which is, you know, what it is in most cosmologies. Like in Christianity, hell is Eden, you know, or, you know, the Jews call it Sheol as the death land and Eden as the paradise. And then the Norse call it hell, also Valhalla. So the other power, many modern Buddhist teachers, anyway, one vessel concept is a core element. Oh yeah, so then I tried to ask again to try to, because they wouldn't, like they gave me this answer and then they would never repeat any of it. When I asked again, all the answers they gave me were completely different. And then they just started talking to me about some fucking anime show. Like there's nobody stupider than AI. Like you ask it a simple question, it's like, oh, are you trying to talk about an anime show? No, you dumb fuck. Like learn English. I had said nothing about an anime show. They just answer whatever they feel like something that they recently got into their data that they can tangentially stupidly claim has something to do with what you asked, and then they'll throw it in like 5 paragraphs. Why Ichijo most commonly refers to Ichijo. Hands get sweaty like holding up this damn phone for so long. Waichijo most commonly refers to Ichijo, a Japanese word meaning one road or first road. It is a popular philosophy family name and the name of a prominent Japanese home builder. Lexical meaning translates literally to one line, a streak, or one article when used in documents or laws. So yeah, it's like you can ask the same question 5 times and AI will give you 5 answers. And sometimes they're all wrong and sometimes some of them are kind of right. The Japanese Buddhist phrase for one vehicle is Ichijo, which translates the Sanskrit concept of Ikayana. It represents the ultimate Mahayana teaching that all different spiritual paths ultimately lead to the exact same destination, Buddhahood. So Ikeyana, so Mahayana is the name of the second branch of Buddhism. There's like something else, and then Mahayana. So Ekayana, I think like it's even in the name because the whole Mahayana thing about the one vehicle to paradise. Here is the breakdown of the phrase in its primary context. Ichijo translates literally to single vehicle, one path. It refers to the Buddha vehicle, Buddhayana, that carries all sentient beings to enlightenment. The Lotus Sutra. This concept is the central message of the Lotus Sutra, which teaches that the previously mentioned three vehicles, the paths of the disciple, the solitary Buddha, and Bodhisattva, are merely skillful, expedient means used by the Buddha to guide beings. In this view, instead of multiple final destinations, there is only one true path available to all. You can read more about its historical impacts. Okay, I might have covered this before. This name of the star is Wormwood. A third of the waters turn bitter, and many people die from the waters that become bitter. So yeah, it probably relates both to the fact that the oceans are bitter, because that's what ancients called the saltwater sea, was the bitter water. And also that, so it might not be a third, it might be, well, I don't know. Oh, it's probably like this is the first step, and then eventually, like half or more, or 2/3 of waters will turn bitter, and then that's like where we are now. So usually, like apocalypse thing, like prophecies are just describing things that happen every day. It's describing like what a day is, or what a year is, or something like that. So, and they say the fourth angel. Name of the star is Wormwood. So the star might be Canopus. I don't know. It's hard to know which star it would be. I think there is a star associated with Wormwood, like in Hamlet's Mill. They explain this passage. A third of the waters and many people die. The fourth angel sounded his trumpet, and a third of the sun was struck, a third of the moon, a third of the stars, a third of them turned dark. A third of the day was without light, and a third of the night, as I watched an eagle that was flying midair call out in a loud voice, woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth because of the trumpet blasts about to be sounded by the other three angels. So I think it's like the four archangels concept, where there's like, there's four stars that are like the North Star, South Star, East Star, and West Star. Once they move from their positions, then there's a flood. Then that means the world is ended, and then it has to wait till a new star gets into that position, and then there's a new world. So that's what like Revelations is and all that. Like, yeah, this is Revelation. So Revelation is just describing stars. But stupid illiterate fucks will like tell you like, oh, I read Revelation, and I know like they just take it literally. They somehow don't think like any of these things matter. That's just all like for entertainment purposes or something. In Buddhist doctrine, the statement is a radical confession. Okay, so I was talking about Jigoku Ichijo. In Buddhist doctrine, the statement is a radical confession of human imperfection. Shinran meant that because human beings are constantly driven by worldly desires, anger, and attachments, their natural karmic destination is the hell realm. Rather than a literal threat of damnation, it serves as an acknowledgement that no one can achieve salvation through their own willpower or moral perfection. By accepting that hell is inevitable for oneself, the believer relies entirely on Tariki, the other power or saving grace of Amida Buddha, to achieve enlightenment. One vehicle versus inevitable. You may have received the one vehicle explanation because the Japanese word ichijo translates to one vehicle, Ikayana, a core Mahayana concept that all beings will eventually attain Buddhahood. However, in the specific context of the phrase Jikoku wa Ichijo, Ichijo uses different kanji and functions as an adverb or adjective meaning certain, fixed, or inevitable. So that's very normal in Chinese Buddhism to use words that sound like other words um, to reference those other words. So it's like a riddle. He's saying like it's just like Buddha, like how Buddha, like Buddha with one D is the guy, Buddha with or no, Buddha with two D's is the guy, Buddha with one D is the planet Mercury. But they're really the same, you know. The guy represents the planet Mercury, just as Ichijo as inevitable also represents the one vehicle. Let's see. So this terrifying illusion vanishes and the soul realizes it was already in the divine fullness. This perfectly mirrors the idea of Jikoku Soku Sukhavati, that hell recognized is hell dissolved. Oh, I need to search that word, that phrase too. All right, whatever. Do that later. The Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva Sutra, the Earth Store Sutra. This East Asian Buddhist scripture focuses entirely on Kshitigarbha Jizo. So his name is Jiz or something. God bless. The Bodhisattva who vowed never to achieve Buddhahood until all hell realms are emptied. Which I think is similar to Amida Buddha, who said he won't become an actual Buddha until everybody does. The concept, and this could also be a riddle for the fact that so-called Buddhahood is largely symbolic. I mean, you know, enlightenment is a spectrum, but and also all hell realms will never be fully emptied. So maybe it's just a hint that nobody will ever actually be a Buddha because a Buddha is more of a symbolic concept. The concept Kshitigarbha does not pull souls out of hell to send them somewhere else. Rather, his presence transforms the environment of Naraka itself. So Naraka is the Indian name for hell, the Sanskrit, and Jikoku is the Japanese. The alignment. In this sutra, when Kshitigarbha enters the deepest hells, the lakes of fire turn into cool lotus ponds, and the instruments of torture turn into jeweled trees. This is a direct scriptural depiction of Naraka physically transforming into Sukhavati through the power of a cosmic savior, linking the underworld to the beautiful land of the West. So this is like what happened in the recent Mortal Kombat movie, where they go to the Shadow Realm, they go to the underworld, but then there's like a Japanese master who's able to use his, you know, Buddhist spirituality to like turn it into like a pure land of flowers and stuff, but he can only like turn like part of it into that. So I think like the Western Pure Land of Sukhavati, of eternal bliss, which is the destination of Mahayana Buddhism, is also hell. It's also Naraka, just like Eden is also Sheol. And the land of the dead is portrayed entirely positively, requiring judgment or total shedding of earthly sins to enter. The Vimalakirti Nirdasa Sutra, the Mahayana text. This Mahayana text is famous for dismantling the dualism between pure and impure worlds. The concept. In chapter 1, the disciples ask the Buddha why his world, our earth, full of suffering and hellish realms, is so ugly and defiled, while other Buddhas have beautiful pure lands. The alignment. The Buddha presses his toe to the earth, and instantly the world transforms into a realm of boundless jewels and light. The Buddha explains that the world is always a pure land. It only appears as a defiled underworld because of the corrupted minds of its inhabitants. This implies that Naraka and Sukhavati occupy the exact same spatial reality. In mystical Judaism, the underworld. So I don't know if they skipped some part, because there was one where it said how the founder of Buddhism said explicitly that if the founder of Jodo Shinshu, Shinran, he said that if his teacher deceived him and Jodo Shinshu leads Shinran to hell, Shinran will have no regrets. So I think that's because he knows they're the same place. So yeah, I don't know. I tried to post all this crap, but I don't know what happens. The Zohar and Kabbalistic texts on Sheol. In mystical Judaism, the underworld, Sheol or Gehenna, is reevaluated through the lens of divine restoration, tikkun. The concept. The Zohar suggests that the fires of Gehenna are not vengeful but purifying. So yeah, that's like purgatory means purifying. The alignment. The underworld is actually the lower manifestation of the divine Sechina, the feminine presence of God. For the mystic, descending into the depths of the spiritual underworld is a necessary journey to gather the fallen sparks of divine light, reframing the dark realm as a sacred crucible of ultimate return to the divine. So that's like in all religions. This is like the Scythian hats. So they're similar to the Micmac hats, but different versions of them. Ancient Greeks worshipped Homer's Odysseus as a semi-divine hero, not just a literary figure. Archaeologists have uncovered the Odysseon, a monumental sanctuary dedicated to him in northern Ithaca, where locals and pilgrims left votive offerings, jewelry, and coins spanning from the 3rd century BCE to the 2nd century CE. The primary hub for Odysseus's veneration was the Agios Athanasios site on Ithaca, commonly known as the School of Homer. Excavations led by researchers from the University of Ioannina have provided conclusive epigraphic proof of this hero cult. But it's not just a hero cult. It's about if you understand the Odyssey, that means you know every constellation and you know every landmass on Earth. But for most of us, we can't read it correctly because the symbolic language is mostly dead. Inscribed artifacts. Archaeologists discovered late Hellenistic roof tiles and pottery stamps explicitly marked with to Odysseus and of Odysseus. Votive offerings. Over 34 clay votive offerings, gold and bronze, and miniature Greco-Roman bronze bust of the hero have been unearthed at the sanctuary site. Pilgrim coins. The site yielded over 100 ancient coins minted by various city-states, proving that pilgrims traveled from across the ancient world to pay their respects. Broader Hellenistic influence. The worship of Odysseus extended far beyond his home island. Greek city-states across the Mediterranean deified legendary Homeric heroes to build local civic identity and connect myth to reality. Asia Minor, a decree found in Magnesia, modern-day Turkey, dated back to 207 BCE, makes formal reference to the sanctuary on Ithaca. The Odyssey, the same 207 BC details in Odysseus a series of athletic Olympic-style games and festivals hosted in Odysseus' honor. And in ancient Greece, hero cults were characterized by chthonic, earthbound rituals because heroes were considered larger than life mortals who accomplished the impossible. Worshippers believed these figures had the power to intercede with the Olympian gods on behalf of mortals. People with seeking various blessings such as fertility, protection, health, and victory, linking Odysseus' heroic perseverance to their everyday life. BBC. The only way to free world is to become absolutely free. Your very existence is a violation of Facebook community standards. That's Camus, he said that when they banned me off Facebook for like the 12th time. I don't know, they tried to delete my account, or they did delete my account, but then a day later they like restored it. But they might delete it again. This my friend Stephanie and me were in or that's her taking the picture. This is in the Watsonville Buddhist temple. We went to the Obon, Day of the Dead festival there, and I danced the like Odori. I actually like nailed it pretty well this time, at least the one dance that I did. And so yeah, they're dancing around. So Aboriginal Australian maps, Teresa Baker with her epic painting. I paint Minya Mel. Or wait, just a second. To like. All right, so Teresa Baker with her epic painting. I paint Malilunya. This is the story of Malilu, a crippled woman and her two daughters ran away to get married, leaving her to look after herself. As Malilu performed in Mali and walked across country, leaving behind tracks of sand. There, this painting is showing, and so yeah, you can tell that's topography pretty much. Or I don't know. Once you get an eye for these topography, geography things, you can spot them pretty easily. Although some modern art tries to imitate them. It's a Mexican native shamanic map. It's a Nyarika in Wixárika tradition, a sacred doorway to the divine, handcrafted strand by strand into beeswax by a shaman in the Sierra Madre Mountains of Mexico. They've created these for thousands of years to carry their visions, their cosmology, and their connection to the spiritual world. So yeah, but it's like all these native art things are like $1,000 just for rich people to like virtue signal, and it's probably, or most of these type of things are just made out of toxic acrylic and stuff. But hopefully this one is natural, or at least more natural than most. All right, so this is the part of the Hell of Assembly, I think, in the Japanese 19th century scroll. Illustrated essentials of rebirth in the Pure Land. So yeah, Hell is probably the Pure Land, also Skavati, the Western Pure Land. So one is the disembodied legs straddling the trees. So those legs are these little islands, peninsulas there. Two is the sword tree lady, who is also Ireland. So she's there. Three is the dude who's getting cut up by her sword tree. His face is like here, and his body is here. And his leg, his leg and his foot or this peninsula there. There's this guy, Point Hope, with his fishing rod. That's him there. And then this bird who's also in Point Hope area. It's right there. It's like this island there. So, it's hard to like show everything very well in one image. And I think it's still leaving out a lot of stuff. Like down here, it's like a separate bay or something. So it probably refers to the smaller bay just beyond here and or the larger one on that. And so, yeah, here is again that part of it. So it's like right here, but they show it on the other side of her head. And so, yeah, it seems, I'm thinking it's this. It's actually prograde, and it just doesn't show these things on the top as well, but it mostly focuses on the rest. And that, like, this part is this part, this part is this part, and like this part, I guess, is like around here somewhere. And maybe this thing relates to that. I don't know. And it's Aboriginal Australian maps, Bidyadanga artist. This painting, Young Marta Waran Country by Veneta Yanawana, is in this year's Cossack Art Awards that opened over the weekend. Veneta says about her painting practice, "I was inspired by old people from the past and the present who have been painting about country. The colors of the landscapes are something I would like to continue. I feel good when I'm painting. I've seen my paintings start to change with each canvas I've done." See, like, this system is enjoyable. Part of why everybody's depressed and, schizo and shit nowadays is because they've been cut off from this. They're just told to just sit in a cubicle all day and then drink some Red Bull and you'll be fine. Painting is a way of showing others what I see through my eyes. These paintings come from my travels out on country with tribal elders. The elders would share stories about life in the bush and talk about family connections. So, yeah, you can obviously see, it certainly looks like a waterway there, surrounded by land. This incredible painting is by Marinka Burton and Betty Muffler. It is included in Gura Polka Epic Country, which is showing now. Gura Polka Epic Country is an artist-led project. So as the name, showcasing major works by senior First Nations artists and collectives from the Anangu, Pichanchara, Yankunytjatjara lands, Cooper Pedy and Tarntanya, Adelaide in South Australia. So, yeah, that's definitely a map of topography. And some elders. And this is again from the Krusenstern Lagoon. This is the disembodied arm. So, yeah. It's like this black part, that's like the bloody like nub or whatever of the arm where it was cut off. So that's probably like this whole area. And then this arm, and then the big elbow. And the forearm, and the forearm is intersected twice. Once by this, which relates to this, and then again, which relates to actually water in this case. Got some ivermectin, finally got 200 pills. I already had some, but like I got 10 pills before and it cost me like $70 or something. But this cost me a lot less. It's like $10 or 10 cents a pill or something. So yeah, it's good for everything. Kills parasites. Using it on my skin, and it's like I use the horse paste actually on my skin, and it's fucking amazing. It already disappeared like 4 skin tags and like a wart or something. So yeah, there's this Armageddon. Uh, and this shows like the hand. So the hand is like intersected by this other, by one of the disembodied legs, which is in fact elsewhere. It's like right here probably. But what it indicates is actually this channel that runs through it, that is broken off between the hand and wrist by that channel. So the hand is just this part of the land, and then the wrist is there. Yeah. So I don't know how long the fingers go, maybe to here. This is another island that's shaped a lot like America during the Ice Age when the sea level was lower and like Florida was wider. So there's like 3 of these islands right near each other, which seem to have been carved as microcosms of America. Let's see. So yeah, I showed the runs last time, but I should probably show it again. So yeah, these are the other ones. So this is like shaped like America now. This is shaped like America during when it was attached to Asia. Like this would be the Eurasian coast, and this would be the Bering Land Bridge. And then the other one is kind of between the two. It's like kind of like this without the land bridge. And these are all 3 like islands basically right next to each other. So it's probably like in Morocco, like in wherever that place is, like with the cave on the coast where the sailors would look at this shape on the wall of this cave, and it was supposed to be an approximation of the shape of Africa, so they could use it to sail around Africa. So it was at the northwestern kind of corner of Africa, and this is at the northwestern corner of America. Are these microcosms? That's what I think they are. I think they were carved. I think this waterway was carved, and I think this was carved. Like probably this was just a whole thing that had a couple lagoons in it, and then they carved the sides of it so that it's just a little isthmus and it's not connected here or there. And they might have done similar stuff up here. And yeah. So yeah, this seems to be basically like the Ice Age shape, but without the Bering Land Bridge. And this one even seems to show like the Amazon River right here. And possibly the Mississippi mouth right there. So yeah, they could have a lot of details that aren't immediately apparent. May even have the Great Lakes in there. Maybe that's just some dark area. So yeah, this is this other bay that might be like that part of it where it has like this, which seems to more or less match Cruise Lagoon, and this, which seems like it's a separate thing. So be that adjacent bay. Right. I was thinking it's a separate. So yeah, it's probably this, and or something further. A lot of these coastal. So that one. Out. This phone does not know how to focus. And his arm, yokai strong. Yeah, this is some stupid fuck. Like some of these Egyptians that are like recruited by the Mossad people in Chan to like troll black people online and claim that the pharaohs were white or that the pharaohs were Arab. But it's funny here, like she accidentally shows like a real picture of Hatshepsut, and then she shows a whitewashed one right above it next to the Arab lady. So fucking stupid, these scum. Oh yeah, the Atlantic, that's like, I mean, all the media is controlled by the feds, but the Atlantic is more blatant than most. They're claiming that millennials are doing well. So stupid. The poorest generation in history. We're doing well. Yeah, I'm sure there's some of the rich ones that inherited money. They're doing okay, but this guy's like, is driving in the room with us right now. All right, so this guy, he's kind of the main character of this whole cosmology scroll. So yeah, he's Britain and then he's a bunch of stuff, but so I'm trying to figure out his arms. Like his arms are weird. So like his mouth, his chin is this, his mouth is this. His eye, I think at least one of his eyes probably this, and then this thing is like this line under his eye. And then he has all these wounds and stuff. But and there's these shapes like this, which are like these little rivers that kind of branch out. But his hands, I think, are shown in a different position. So I think actually this hand. Well, anyway, I think these hands are here and here. So I'm not even entirely sure which is which. I mean, in theory, this should be that one. And maybe it is. Yeah, so maybe that's this one. This one is this one. And then they're holding these kind of branches, which are rivers here. But then when they go into here, they're like they might actually be elevated lines, like this dark line that comes out of this hand, and then this dark line that but maybe not. Maybe they're depressions. And like his hair is, I guess, like this part. Just with increase the contrast and saturation. So this is that guy's foot, and then here's these three microcosms of America, like micro models of America, seemingly. That's what I think they are, because they're certainly small enough that the ancients would have no trouble carving them. I mean, the ancients definitely were creating islands, creating canals, thousands and thousands of years ago. This is another one right nearby there. So there's like this kind of river that seems like it might be partly artificially dredged, maybe in antiquity and modernity, I don't know. But it also has this weird shape that's similar to some religious motifs of like a two-headed type of thing. And this kind of looks like a face here, like with the nose and mouth and chin, so that could be related as well. This could relate like the solar cosmology as well, like the two mountains and the sunrise, and this could be the sun or something. I don't know. But I'm sure it was sacred. Okay, yes, in Jodo Shinshu, the Pure Land is frequently referred to as Higan. Here are a few quick details about what it means. Literal Higan is a Japanese term translating to the other shore. It represents the realm of nirvana, ultimate enlightenment, and the pure land of Amida Buddha. The other shore. It is used as a metaphor to contrast the pure land with this current world of suffering, which is often called this shore, Shigan. So this is, again, more indication that hell is paradise, hell is the pure land, because hell is America, the opposite hemisphere, the underworld, the other shore. But since they explicitly say the other shore is Sukhavati, the pure land of the Western pure land of eternal bliss, that confirms basically that the Buddhist hell and the Buddhist paradise are the same place. And this could be basically the heart of all religions, or, one of the main elements of all religions, going back at least, to Göbekli Tepe, but probably much earlier. Let's see. You will often hear the term Higan used during the spring and autumn equinoxes. Well, yeah, because that's the freaking holiday called Higan, or Ohigan. The temples hold special services during these times to reflect on the teachings and our journey toward the Pure Land. No, Obon and Ohigan are practiced across nearly all schools of Japanese Buddhism, not just Jodo Shinshu. They are foundational wide cultural and religious holidays in Japan. So Obon festival relates to the starving spirit realm, the Gaki realm, illusions, and then Ohigan is about America, the hell, paradise, afterlife. However, because different Buddhist sects have entirely different theological views on salvation, enlightenment, and the afterlife, they approach these holidays with radically different practices. How other schools practice Obon versus Jodo Shinshu? In most Japanese Buddhist schools, such as Zen, Shingon, Tendai, and Nichiren, Obon is fundamentally a time to welcome back and appease the spirits of deceased ancestors who are believed to temporarily leave the spirit realm to visit the living world. So this probably relates also to the starving spirit realm, the Aleutians, and probably also the Kuril Islands, because there's basically an endless, or like a chain of islands from the tip of the Alaskan Peninsula to Japan, to Hokkaido. I mean, it's basically the Aleutians go to the tip of Kamchatka Peninsula in Siberia, and then from there, the Kuril Islands go to the, tip of Hokkaido in Japan, northern Japan. So it's basically, and it's all like part of the same geological thing. I mean, the Aleutians are like the Alaskan or Aleutian mountain range, basically made of they're all volcanic islands. But yeah, so those are seen as like the ghosts between realms, the ghosts that can visit the living. So they put up like lights to guide those ghosts to their relatives and stuff. Lanterns, like paper, lanterns. Because Jodo Shinshu rejects the idea that spirits wander or need human help, its practices differ significantly from other sects. So Jodo Shinshu is much more like kind of Protestant and kind of rationalistic, but they still have all the same cosmology. So, I mean, no matter which sect has this cosmology, it's all symbolic. Spirits, altars, bandana. So yeah, the other ones, families build elaborate temporary altars specifically to host the visiting spirits. But in the Jodo Shinshu, they don't do that. All focus remains on the permanent home Butsudan altar. Um, Spirit transport vehicles. People make horses out of cucumbers and oxen out of eggplants so spirits can ride home quickly and leave slowly. So this relates to ancient cosmology. Like horses and oxen are part of like the Kaiku's Rao cycle and the Jamshid cycle. And so yeah, it relates to uh probably celestial and terrestrial, but at least one or the other type of cosmology. Um and also it's related to the Hamlet story, like in the Hamlet, some of the Hamlet stories, they have that scene where they turn the animals into other animals or people into animals, and it's related to the horses and oxen tradition. So in Jodo Shinshu, that's strictly forbidden. Deceased loved ones are already Buddhas in the Pure Land and do not travel on vegetables. I mean, maybe they're traveling with Buddha on a vegetable. So the other ones, they have small bonfires or lanterns are lit outside the home to guide the spirits back safely. The welcoming fires Mukaibai, not practiced in Jodo Shinshu. In Jodo Shinshu, lanterns are used purely as decorations to express joy and gratitude, not as navigation for ghosts. So I was like confused about that the other day when I was at the Watsonville Obon Festival, because I thought like the lanterns were to guide the ghosts, but I guess that's something the other sects. Yeah. Meaning of the feast. Food and offerings are left out to sustain and comfort the hungry spirits. In the other traditions, in Jodo Shinshu, food is offered to Amida Buddha out of gratitude, and the living gather to hear the Dharma. Ohigan is uniquely Japanese and is tied directly to the alignment of the sun during the equinoxes. So I think because the starving spirit realm is like Arctic, that might be why they celebrate it in the summer when the sun rises in the north. And then, right? Yeah. And then in the spring and fall, they celebrate the underworld because that's like east and west. Yeah, maybe in winter they celebrate some southern type of thing of the Asura land. While all sects use this week to visit family grave sites, their spiritual focus is completely opposite. Other Buddhist schools, self-powered Jiri for Zen, Nichiren, and Shingon Ohigon, is a rigorous week of actively practicing the 6 paramitas, perfections like meditation, giving, and patience. They believe that by performing these difficult disciplines during the balanced equinox, they can personally earn enough merit to cross over to enlightenment. Jodo Shinshu, other power Tariki. Jodo Shinshu teaches that ordinary humans are incapable of perfectly executing the 6 paramitas. Therefore, Ohigan is not a time to perform spiritual chores, but rather a time of profound gratitude. Followers gather at temples who thank Amida Buddha, who already perfected the paramitas on their behalf to guarantee their salvation. Okay, so yeah, I guess I might have missed some, but maybe I'll include it next time. Aboriginal Australian art. This beautiful painting is by Alice Michaels. Located in a sheltered basin, the rock hole at Lapi Lapi is permanent source of water and is surrounded by a country rich in bush tucker. In the time of the Jukurpa dream time, many mothers with young children would gather there because it was a safe place to stay. So the dream time can both mean like basically outside of time where the myths occur, but it may also refer to the time when the myths were created. This is my friend Maya on Facebook. She's showing. So I forgot that these two mountains of sunrise and sunset separating the world and underworld are not just found in Egyptian and Buddhist cosmology, but also Sumerian, Mesopotamian cosmology. So yeah, in the Buddhist, scroll, they say that the two mountains separate the world from the underworld. One is called arriving, and the other is called departing. In Egypt, the two mountains are just called sunrise and sunset. And I'm not sure, I forget their name in Sumerian. Just like the Sumerian Enki circling the shoulders of Ea in the form of a bird, where hydrogen, water, and helium fish stream out, we see the exact same principle encoded in Teotihuacan. So this is Teotihuacan. You can see they have this is like a Neo-Assyrian motif in ancient Mexico. It's like 2,000 years old, but it's like the Assyrian, Apkallu bird priests with their Bandudu buckets and their Mulilu purifiers, and then the tree of life representing the cosmos. And so Maya says, right above Tlaloc's paradise, we find two attendants. If we connect Mesoamerica with ancient Sumer, these two show an archetypal match with sons of God Ea, the sun, Enlil and Enki. Enlil represents electromagnetic ionizing radiation. Enki represents visible sunlight. So I don't know. My understanding was Enlil is Jupiter, Enki is Mercury or something. I don't know. Quantum physics in antiquity, but there's a lot of layers to these things, so it could mean a million different things at once. These attendants hold tools given to them by Quetzalcoatl, time, who's also Venus, the planet Venus. One holds tool of a wave nature, while the other holds a tool of a particle nature, and growing from the head of Quetzalcoatl itself is a solar tree. In modern quantum mechanics, we call this only one thing, wave-particle duality. So that could be, there's a lot of things we think are modern science, but they're actually ancient, But it just is useful to the elites to pretend that it's not ancient. But yeah, Enki, like a lot of times, it could be that in the Mesopotamian and the Mesoamerican, these represent like the two upper gods of like the hemisphere. So like for for Eurasia and North Africa, it would be like the northern and the eastern star and or constellation. And then for North America and Northern South America, it would be the northern and western star or constellation. Let's see. The first Japanese Buddhist monk that married, the first prominent Japanese Buddhist monk to openly marry was Shinran Shonin, the founder of the Jodo Shinshu True Pure Land School. So he might be basically the first Buddhist monk to like openly marry and be like, this is okay. Shinran's marriage to Eshini in the early 13th century, which resulted in 6 children, was a revolutionary act that broke centuries of monastic celibacy in Japan. His theological justification was that enlightenment is achieved through absolute faith in Amida Buddha rather than through strict monastic discipline or celibacy. So it's obvious that this is part of the same movement that produced Protestantism. You know, the like people pretend like East Asia and Europe were totally disconnected, but the merchants and the kings were in constant contact. Like, you know, like Venice was partners with the Mongolians for like 1,000 years. So yeah, they were able to orchestrate movements that were, you know, across the entire uh, hemisphere. While Shinran's radical move made his sect the first to adopt a non-celibate married clergy, the practice did not become widespread across all Japanese Buddhist traditions until the government legalized clerical marriage for all sects in 1868. Nikujiku Saitai. Let's see, Essentials of Rebirth in the Pure Land. So this might be a depiction of the Western Pure Land, which may be basically the same as America, but just shown differently. So they show you two maps of America, one as a torture realm and the other as like this, you know, paradise. But this is the torture realm part. This is probably Cape Baldwin in Alaska. And or the Baldwin Peninsula or Cape Baldwin Peninsula. This one I don't know, but it looks definitely like a good time somehow. Cow flew over the moon. All right, well, I guess that's it. I definitely thought I had some more, but let's see. So, all right, well, just want to end it on this one, which is my most, you know, intricate recent comparison. You know, it doesn't really encompass all of it because that's pretty much impossible because of how like weird these maps are, but at least all the main visible parts or most of the main visible parts are accounted for. So yeah, I guess I'll just leave it at that and take care. Have a good one, and hopefully I'll post the things I forgot to post for the next video. All right, peace. Oh wait, how do I like close this? Oh, there.